Unpopular opinion, but Arkham Origins might just be my favorite Arkham game as of right now. From the story, to the exploration, all the way to the balanced amount of collectibles there are to find. Yeah, that's right, I'm looking at you, Arkham Knight. Before I get on a whole rant about my likes and dislikes regarding Arkham Knight, let's get back to the topic at hand. After finishing the game for the first time, I decided to look at all the achievements I earned. As I was doing that, I stumbled across one of the rarest achievements in the game, that being I Am the Knight. To unlock this achievement, you have to beat the game on the hardest difficulty. At the time, it honestly didn't seem all that bad. Oh, how naive I was. So here it is, my attempt at conquering one of the toughest challenges in the Arkham series. Will I unlock the achievement and claim victory, or am I just setting you all up for a glorious train wreck? There's only one way to find out. Watch the video. Please. Like, seriously. And hey, if you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. It would absolutely make my day. Hell, maybe even my week. Alright, enough talk. Let's dive in. The game starts with us on a mission to find the elusive Black Mask. Why, you may ask? Well, I'm not entirely sure yet, but whatever, I bet there's a good enough reason. That said, I'm going to have to be a lot more careful than usual. If I die even once during this playthrough, I'll have to start the entire game over. Yeah, I almost forgot to mention, this difficulty not only cranks up the challenge to an insane level, but it also introduces permadeath. Yippee-ki-yay! Fast forward a bit, and all of a sudden I'm fighting a human-crocodile hybrid known as Killer Croc. Black Mask was able to get away, which meant that I still had a long way to go before obtaining the achievement. Anyway, if I had to be careful while dealing with those low-life thugs, then fighting Killer Croc is going to be a whole other story. Now, to be fair, I have played like every single Arkham game at least 1 or 2 times, so this fight wasn't too challenging, at least not for me. That's probably the only reason I even have a slight chance at getting this achievement. Not trying to brag, but my experience with these games definitely gives me a leg up. Anyway, once I took Killer Croc down, I asked him where Black Mask went. All I got was a bunch of he did this, she did that, yada yada yada. I obviously wasn't too fond of that answer, so I decided to beat the absolute out of him. Look, snitches get stitches doesn't apply when Arkham Batman's involved. Honestly, I'd rather take the stitches. Like, I don't even care about the context. You'd have to be a lunatic not to agree. Killer Croc then proceeds to say something about Black Mask and his assassins or something. Well, it looks like we won't know for the time being, because the police show up right as I was about to get an answer. But apparently it doesn't even matter, because when I get back to the Batcave, it's suddenly revealed that Batman got his hands on a drone. When did that happen exactly? I don't even know, dude. Let's just roll with it. After hacking into the drone, we learn that this whole assassin thing is very real. Deathstroke, Firefly, Copperhead, Deadshot, Electrocutioner, and finally, Bane. All hired by Black Mask to accomplish one thing: eliminate me. Well, technically Batman, but you get the idea. Listen man, I'm really getting into it, just leave me be. With all of those villains coming after me, there's only one thing I can really do. Take them all down before they get to me, and then go after Black Mask himself. Seems easy enough, if you completely ignore the fact that I'm playing on the hardest difficulty. I really hope you guys end up enjoying this video, because I can already tell that it's going to be a pain in the ass. Anyway, back to the drone. We were able to track its next destination, which just so happens to be none other than the Penguin's hideout. Coincidence? I think not. So obviously I show up, and proceed to excessively abuse every single one of his henchmen. Why? Because why the hell not? Yeah, I know, it's probably a little overkill. But come on, if you willingly choose to work for a guy like this, that's 110% on you. No sympathy whatsoever. I'm not gonna lie, I probably got lost over a dozen times while looking for the Penguin. I did, however, manage to run into the Electrocutioner, one of the assassins. I was honestly expecting a huge boss fight, but all I got was the human equivalent of a limp penis. I mean, hey, at least that's one less villain to deal with. Am I right or am I right? After that, I was finally able to get my hands on the Penguin. I wanted answers, and fast. He eventually got the gist of it and proceeded to tell me about a murder that recently happened up at a place called Lacey Towers. All of a sudden, something grabbed my leg and pulled me back down to the place where I fought Electrocutioner. That something was none other than Deathstroke, another one of the assassins. This fight wasn't just a sad excuse of a cop-out like the last one. That's good, but also not so good at the same time, because I have no room for mistakes in this playthrough, as you all know. Thankfully, I ended up beating him, which means there's yet another villain I don't need to worry about anymore. Honestly, I'm making pretty good progress so far. My confidence is at an all-time high. Hopefully I don't get really cocky and ruin it for myself later. Subtle foreshadowing? God, I hope not. Anyway, once I arrived at Lacey Towers, I was greeted by a gruesome murder scene. The victims? A woman named Tiffany Ambrose, and what looked like Black Mask, dead on the floor. But wait. How could that be? Someone else had to be involved, unless it was a murder-suicide, which I'm pretty sure it wasn't. But who? That I do not know. I did, however, manage to find Tiffany's phone. She had been texting Black Mask about someone called the Joker. After a quick stop at the Batcave, I decided to head for the police station. If I'm gonna figure out who this Joker guy is, the best way to do that is by accessing the National Criminal Database. Getting into the station? Fairly simple. Gaining access to the database? Not so much. I had to take down more guards than I could count, most of them fully armed and ready for war. It was incredibly risky, and as if that wasn't enough, I had to make my way through a surprisingly long parkour sequence, which was weirdly peaceful considering everything else I had just dealt with. Anyway, once I got into the database and searched for the Joker, nothing came up. Not a single match. But I did manage to uncover what really went down at Lacey Towers. Turns out, Black Mask didn't die after all. It was one of his decoys. Right after the decoy was killed, the real Black Mask showed up and ambushed the shooter, who I assume is the Joker. Even though Black Mask had the upper hand, the Joker still came out on top, and then kidnapped him and took him to the bank. Hoping they were both still there, I rushed over as fast as I could. This is when I finally get to meet the Joker, and yes, he looks just as evil as we all thought he would. Come to find out, the assassins were hired by him, not Black Mask. Speaking of that, Black Mask was with him, as I expected. After brutally beating him to a pulp, the Joker threw him into a vehicle, shot me in the chest a few times, and sped off, detonating several hidden bombs in the process. Thankfully, that all took place in a cutscene, so I had nothing to worry about. I spoke too soon. Yay, another room filled to the brim with heavily armed guards. I'm so excited. All but one of the guys left. I made sure to try and get anything I could out of him. He ended up telling me where the Joker was going, which happened to be the steel mill. Upon arriving at the steel mill, all I was able to find were some more sorry-ass guards, and to my surprise, Black Mask, with Joker nowhere in sight. While I was trying to get answers out of him, I was ambushed by Copperhead, another one of the assassins. She injected some sort of poison into me. I started seeing multiple versions of her, which means that there's a higher chance of me losing, but what the hell. I'm acting nonchalant about it now, but if I end up losing, I may or may not kill myself on the dot. Thankfully, the poison started wearing off after a bit, so that never ended up happening. Copperhead, now defeated, told me where the Joker and all the other assassins would be in roughly an hour. I guess they're all having a meeting or something. To no one's surprise, the building where the meeting was taking place was heavily guarded, which meant that I had to give out a couple dozen more disability pensions. At this rate, Bruce Wayne may or may not lose the billionaire playboy title after tonight. The building was ginormous, so I didn't know where to look. My best bet was to find the security room and go through the cameras in hopes of finding what I'm looking for. Eventually, I stumbled across a camera that had a great view of the meeting. All of the remaining assassins were there, including Electrocutioner? Why in the world is he here? I thought I had already dealt with this cornball. Guess I'll just have to do it all over again. Never mind. Forget I said anything. Rest in peace. You really won't be missed. Like, honestly, you were such a disappointment. Now that I think about it, you must have gotten that a lot. Like, a lot. Okay. Enough bullying the poor dead man. Let's move on. As I was strolling along my merry way, Bane gave me a little more than a swift slap on the wrist, and then threw me straight into yet another boss fight. I genuinely was not prepared in the slightest. Now, you might be wondering something along the lines of, wait, didn't you say you already played this game before? Shouldn't you be at least somewhat prepared? Well, I'm not gonna lie, I stretched the truth a bit. I really only played through the first and second mission. The thing is, I watched my little brother finish the whole thing, so I didn't feel much of a need to go through it myself. A little white lie never hurt anybody, unless you count me and my will to live. Now, I've never been the type to give up easily, but for a brief moment, I seriously considered it. I had a rope in hand, both literally literally and metaphorically. But instead of tying the noose, I set it aside, took a deep breath, and started over. I mean, hey, at least this time I'll be more prepared. That's something, right? Maybe the only upside, but still, it's better than nothing. Since I already gave you all a full rundown of the game so far, I'm just gonna skip right back to the fight with Bane if you don't mind. Playing through all those missions again definitely got me ready for it. So much so, I ended up defeating him without much of a struggle at all. Well, I didn't actually defeat him for good. He ended up escaping. The Joker wasn't too fond of that, so he tried taking him down, to no avail as you can probably tell. I could just let him fall to his death, but what would be the point in that? Way too easy for my liking. So I swooped in, caught him just in time, and turned him in. He may be out of the way, for now at least, but that doesn't mean the story's even close to being over. I still have to take down the remaining assassins, Firefly and Bane. There's also Deadshot, but thankfully I don't need to deal with him to complete the game and earn the achievement. I've already died once, so there's no way in hell that I'm going to be pulling any more big shot risks. Sorry, not sorry. Firefly was fairly simple to beat. It mostly came down to a whole lot of dodging, which, don't get me wrong, was a nice change of pace. And for that, I was 110% grateful. However, that wave of gratitude was very short-lived. The Joker managed to escape prison and is now leading a full-blown riot. To top it off, the game decided to be a total dick and hit me right in the feels by showing me a vision of my dead parents. Well, technically Batman, but once again, you get the idea. What a cruel, cruel world we live in. I say as I lean back in my overwhelmingly comfy chair, AC blasting, without a single real worry in sight. But yeah, what a cruel, cruel world we live in. The prison was in complete shambles. Prisoners on the left, guards on the right, and as for the center, my impatience, of course, right alongside the Joker, Bane, and surprisingly, the Warden. As per usual, he had a sinister plan up his sleeve. Joker rigged some sort of monitor to Bane and the Warden. Basically, if Bane's heart doesn't stop soon, the Warden will be put to death. I could just kill Bane and call it a day, but considering kindness is the new punk rock, I obviously can't just do that. Instead, I stopped Bane's heart, allowing the Warden to escape, and then resuscitated him. Instead of thanking me for actually giving a he pumped himself full of steroids and threw me straight through the floor. You could say he was being a roidiator, or perhaps even a roidhog. Ha, get it? Booyah! Fighting him head on wouldn't be the smartest thing to do. I mean, just look at him. Hell no. I opted for a much safer and efficient approach, which was to sneak up on him a few times and slowly but surely take him down. Please, for the love of God, tell me I don't have to fight this buffoon again. I'm begging you. Just let it end. When I got a hold of the Joker, he tried giving me some boring-ass monologue, so I punched him until he eventually stopped, which honestly took a lot longer than I thought it would. After that, I turned him in, watched a cutscene or two, and then got the achievement. I genuinely don't think you guys know just how happy I am for finally unlocking this thing. I could be jumping with joy for all you know. I'm probably not going to touch this game for a solid year or two, but hey, I did it, with the only expense being whatever's left of my mental health. That's a win in my book. Jokes aside, this video's been in my notebook of ideas for quite a while now, so I'm glad I finally got to finishing it. I think it turned out alright, but what do you guys think? Let me know, seriously. And not trying to be a heckler, but if you enjoyed the video and would like to see more, make sure to like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it immensely. Oh wait, I also wanted to say that if you have any video ideas you'd like me to do, just let me know in the comments. I'm pretty much open to anything, as long as it's not weird fetish content or something along the lines of that. I'm warning you, don't do it. Welp, I'll see you guys when I see you guys. Bye-bye.